Welcome to the Game of Risk, everyone. I'm your host, OliveXC, a top player at this game, and today we are doing Tutor Tuesday, where I review a subscriber game and help them, and you the viewer, get better at the game of Risk. If you're interested in submitting an episode for Tutor Tuesday, check the description down below to see how you can submit something to me. Today's game comes from Fabian Ba, an expert-ranked Risk player playing a 4-player classic fixed game. And we can already see on the first turn that the blue player is making a play for North America. Red also had a claim, but given that blue had the first turn advantage, they decided to dictate the play of what they wanted to do. Now on your turn, the majority of your troops are located within Asia, so you can either go for an Australia play, potentially Africa, but as I look at your turn right here, it looks like you are going for the Australia play. I would have left a couple of extra troops here because a 5v2 is not guaranteed. If you lose that, you would be in a very, very tough situation. The other thing that I noticed is that you didn't fortify your 5-in. I would try to put in as many troops in as possible on turn 1 to really tell the other players, hey, I am going for this continent, please move out of the way. But otherwise, your first turn was fine. And then finally, the orange player makes a really solid first move. They were gifted South America. This happens very, very often in these 4-player games where 1 or 2 players get continents very, very quickly, and they're able to use this to give an advantage for themselves. They're also doing a really, really nice job defending it as well. With a 6 right here, 4 and 2 right here. The other players can't do anything about it. The blue player continues going for North America right here. So I'm already seeing a 7 and a 6 here. This is causing huge, huge amounts of tension between the blue player and orange player. I want to see what happens there. Something happens here where orange smacks your 4. You may have been able to do a 4v1 here as red knew they had to get out right away for blue to take North America, but I think given your fortification, I think it's just like a bit of a lost amount of troops you have to expect, and you end up putting everything in and you're prioritizing getting your continent. That's going to allow you to get farther in the game. And now orange, who has a large number of troops, has an ability to really influence the game and decide how they want to be getting additional troops going forward. So we can see they decide not to hit you, which means they could have easily hit your 2 right here, but they chose instead to hit red. This signifies to me they don't have an alliance with red, but they are taking your alliance seriously. And now look at this, a nice 2 border guard for the orange player. They have an early game advantage that they can use in their favor. But blue is very, very focused on getting their North America. And you can see right here, they're about to be on 3 cards where they can be getting a huge set. The tension is rising between the players. Now, if I was the orange player in this situation, what I would probably do is just try to alliance with the blue player. I would move my 12 into North Africa, and then I would focus on trying to take over Africa for myself. So the red player has an easy play to go for Europe right here, and then when you end up taking Australia, you're going to be then in a position where all 3 of the other players have very, very strong continents for yourself. You'll be in a very weak continent. The other players can then gang up and eliminate you from the game. The red player did allow you to get Australia here though, so it's working on your favor, and as we can see, orange decided to, instead of trying to work with the blue player, decide to aggressively hit them. Not the best move. You don't want to be hitting players early like this. If you end up doing that, like you can see right here, now orange lost the early game advantage. Blue is almost even weaker. Surprisingly, right now you're the only player that has a strong amount of troops to be able to hold an advantage. But if the blue player had a set on 3, they could have potentially just smashed really, really hard into the orange player right here, and their whole game would be done. Whereas if they just moved their troops right here to North Africa, they would have been in a much, much better state. Red has been playing overall a pretty smart game. They moved out of blue player's way when they know that they were taking the continent. They moved out of your way when you were taking out the continent. And now they've established themselves to getting a strong continent. You also have a set on 3, which is very, very lucky, but there's nothing you have to do at this time. You have the power of Australia on your side, and you have nothing to worry about right now. So all you have to do is continue moving your troops in. I may have considered moving my 15 outwards towards this territory to make sure that you're able to better attack around the map in case the opportunity arose. We can see with the orange player trading in pretty aggressively. And again, when they realized that the blue player was going to be their enemy, they are going all out against them. Like, the orange player is clearly a weaker player here and has a one-track mindset. They're even trying to eliminate the blue player, which makes absolutely no sense right now. It's not worth it for their cards, and there is too many troops, and it's too risky of a play. You can see, even though the orange player is traded in, they're only at 27 troops. If the blue player doesn't have a set right here on 4 cards, the red player would just easily take them out and gain a huge early game advantage. And we can also see right here the drawback of you not fortifying your 15 out to this territory. Having that extra mobility to attack is critical, because most time players will not attack this territory unless they're forced to. As an Australian player, it's critical you have the mobility for yourself. Blue shows significant restraint by only taking 1 territory. Now they're just trying to play passively. And now red makes an interesting play right here. They had a really easy line for Europe, but instead of taking Europe, they instead decide to take over Africa and successfully guard the region with a couple spots around their borders. I don't hate the move. I mean, at the end of the day, the red player has been making relatively smart plays. I don't like the 3-point guard because you don't know how the Australian player would react, and you make an incredible move right here, Fabian Ba. You recognize that if the orange player and the blue player are going to hate each other, there's only one person for you to attack, and that is going to be the red player right here. Because if the two of you keep on attacking, if the orange player and the blue player keep on attacking each other, you to focus on red and keep them weak. Look, they're at 20 troops right now. You're double the red player. If you manage to eliminate the red player from the game, that's going to be it. Because you can see right here, blue and orange are just going to be going at it until the end of time. Orange has a one-track mind. The only thing you have to worry about here is if red wants a suicide on you, but even if they have a 10 set, the most they would have right here is about 18 troops. They just wouldn't be able to break your 23 at all. And the red, though, has the worst set possible for themselves. So this is just one of those games where you, as the Australian player, things are going really right for yourself. You can see, because you have this extra contingent force right here, you are now able to eliminate the blue player from the game. And this is the correct move because they only have about 8 troops. It was worth it for their cards. So very easy elimination for you. Now, I just want to pause the game right here, because now we can see your early game decision to leave your troops here in Indonesia rather than a Siam right here. This is, I think, a significant mistake for you. If your troops were available right here immediately, you could have placed maybe 7 troops right here to take out these troops, and then you could potentially have immediately went out into have your 10 attack downwards, and your 23, which would then become a 33, you could immediately go out and eliminate the orange player, following a nice clear path for yourself, getting the extra cards, and then potentially just hitting red, and then just dominating the board and holding down in the end game. We can kind of see that the orange player is weaker and really takes the alliance seriously, but in high-level games, always keep your army available and ready to attack when you can. You instead focus on hitting the red player and a slight slider blitz mistake right here, but that's mechanics. It happens to everybody, including me. You also did 2v1. You don't want to do those if general, because again, the red player was below 12 territories, and you're more likely to lose the troop. You now finally move your troops outwards. Again, you kind of like missed like a little bit of the opportunity right there, but at the end of the day, your turn was pretty good for yourself. You managed to weaken the red player significantly. Now, the only risk to your play, because you could not take the orange player out right here, is if the orange player decides to play very passively, now taking over North America and South America, is if the game kind of stagnates right here, they can quickly overtake you in troops and then take the game. With Australia, you have to strike quickly and decisively. But thankfully for you, the red player does not have a set right now. They are, though, being very careful on the territories they're selecting. They want you to attack into orange. So you get to the critical decision. Do you break the alliance with orange, or do you try to work with orange, hoping they attack the red player? And here, you make a good move where you are deciding to, when someone player is getting greedy, you get greedier. And this was a really, really nice move right here. I absolutely love this, Fabian. You took over the region and then kind of just fortified back like your Australia. So if orange did decide to attack you, then you know where the alliance lied and you could potentially hit them. Orange basically knows that they only have one person left, right? The red player. You're preying the fact that orange is a weaker player, and by maintaining the alliance with you all game, they just have to hit the red player once, and the game breaks in your favor. You now have more troops than both players combined, and you are going to take this game. So at the end of the day, Fabian, this game was excellent. The one thing to always keep in mind is always make sure your army is available. If you're the Australian player, don't leave it in Indonesia. Try to leave it within Siam. Because that way you can always have the open attack paths. Orange fed you this game by violently attacking blue and now violently attacking red, but you're not always going to get that. So now the red players even have a set on 4. The luck is incredible for you. So you have cleaned up the red player, get a nice quick double trade-in, saving your wild card, and you are going to be able to clean up, attacking everywhere around the map, eliminating the orange player, and taking down this game right here. So we can just see orange has given up, you trade in, and you take this game. Fabian Ba, thank you so much for an excellent game for Tutor Tuesday. If you're enjoying this content, everyone, please consider subscribing and follow me on Twitch. And if you're interested in getting submitting a game, check my description down below. But with that, this is OliveXC signing off.